Hook. 0:100 to 0:45. The year is 1943. The date is August 2nd. The setting, the inky black waters of the Blackett Strait in the Solomon Islands, deep in the Pacific theater of World War II. At precisely 2:27 a.m., a deafening roar shatters the tropical night. A Japanese destroyer, the Amagiri, a steel behemoth, tears through the darkness at an estimated 40 knots, a terrifying phantom. It slams into a small, 80-foot American patrolled torpedo boat, PT-109, with brutal force, slicing the wooden vessel in two. Gasoline erupts in a massive fireball, a 100-foot-high inferno illuminating the chaos. Men are thrown into the flaming, shark-infested sea. In this maelstrom of fire and splintered wood, how can anyone survive, let alone lead? Context. 0:45 to 3 o'clock. Lieutenant Junior Grade John F. Kennedy, known to his crew as Jack, is at the helm of PT-109. He is just 26 years old, a privileged son of one of America's wealthiest and most influential families, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr. But in the crucible of war, lineage means little. Kennedy has sought active combat despite chronic back pain, a lingering issue from a college football injury, alongside bouts of asthma and ulcers, which initially rendered him unfit for military service. His father's influence secured him a desk job in naval intelligence, but a restless drive for combat pushes him to the Pacific. He arrives in the Solomon Islands in April 1943, taking command of PT-109 on April 23. PT boats are small, fast, and nimble, but their wooden hulls offer little protection. They are often called plywood coffins by those who serve on them. Their primary weapon, the Mark 8 torpedo, is notoriously unreliable, with issues ranging from premature explosions to depth-setting failures. Kennedy's boat, PT-109, though less than a year old, has already seen heavy combat. The crew, like their young skipper, are relatively green, many of them new to the intensity of Pacific warfare. They operate from a bush berth on Rendova Island, a makeshift base where the realities of war mean contending with relentless heat, tropical diseases, and the constant threat of Japanese air attacks. Kennedy is a Harvard-educated officer, but in the brutal, unforgiving waters of the Solomons, his academic prowess offers no advantage. Here, survival depends on instinct, courage, and a bond forged under fire. Obstacle: 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The Solomon Islands campaign is a grinding war of attrition, an island-hopping strategy to dislodge entrenched Japanese forces. The waters around Kolombangara Island are particularly deadly, a crucial supply route for the Japanese known as the Tokyo Express. American PT boats are tasked with intercepting these destroyers, a David and Goliath struggle where small, fast boats confront heavily armed steel warships. The odds are often stacked against the PT crews. Many doubt their effectiveness against destroyers, and the command structure itself presents challenges. On August 1, 1943, intelligence reports confirm a major, Tokyo Express, run. 5 Japanese destroyers are due to transport supplies and 902 soldiers to Kolombangara. 15 PT boats, including PT-109, are dispatched from Rendova Island at 6:30 p.m. to intercept them in the Blackett Strait. The mission is fraught with complications from the start. Only 4 of the 15 PT boats possess radar, forcing the others, including PT-109, to operate blind in the moonless night. Commander Thomas G. Warfield, the officer in charge, issues orders from 40 miles away, a method proving inefficient at best in the chaotic darkness. As the PT boats engage, the battle quickly devolves into confusion. 30 torpedoes are fired by the American boats, but not a single hit is confirmed against the Japanese destroyers. The Mark 8 torpedoes, often running at incorrect depths or detonating prematurely, prove largely ineffective. After their initial, unsuccessful attacks, many PT boats, having expended their torpedoes, are ordered to return to base, leaving a dwindling number to continue the patrol. No one believed that such small, vulnerable craft could truly stop the powerful Japanese destroyers. They were all wrong. The stage is set for a confrontation far more intimate and terrifying than any planned engagement. PT-109 and 2 other boats are left patrolling, ordered to cover the retreat, isolated and vulnerable in the vast, enemy-controlled waters. The darkness conceals not only the enemy but also the desperate lack of coordination that will soon lead to disaster. Escalation, 8:32:00. The night of August 1st blurs into the early hours of August 2, 1943. PT-109, along with PT-162 and PT-169, are the last boats patrolling Blackett Strait, ordered to remain on station. The night is overcast, moonless, and shrouded in fog, red UCING visibility to near zero. Kennedy, ever vigilant, has ordered PT-109 to idle on only one engine. This is a standard tactic, designed to reduce the phosphorescent wake that would otherwise betray their position to Japanese aircraft. The silence is eerie, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the hull and the soft hum of the single engine. At approximately 2:30 a.m., a dark, indistinct shape suddenly looms out of the blackness, just 200 to 300 yards off PT-109's starboard bow. Ensign George Barney Ross, acting as lookout, is the first to spot it. At first, the crew believes it might be another friendly PT boat. But as the shape rapidly closes the distance, its true nature becomes terrifyingly clear. It is the Japanese destroyer Amagiri, a massive *Fubuki* class warship, returning from its supply run to Kalimbangara. The Amagiri is traveling at a high rate of speed, between 23 and 40 knots, racing to reach port before dawn breaks and Allied air patrols appear. Kennedy, at the wheel, reacts instantly. He spins the helm hard to port, attempting a desperate turn to bring PT-109's torpedo tubes to bear on the oncoming destroyer. Ensign Ross scrambles to load the newly installed 37mm anti-tank gun on the bow, a desperate attempt to add firepower, but there is no time. The Amagiri is too fast, too close. Barely 10 seconds elapse from sighting to impact. The destroyer strikes PT-109 forward of the starboard torpedo tube, slicing through the wooden hull with sickening ease. The impact is catastrophic. The 80-foot PT boat is cut in half. The force of the collision throws Kennedy violently against the bulkheads of the cockpit. He lies prone for a moment, thinking, this is how it feels to be killed. Almost immediately, gasoline from the ruptured fuel tanks ignites, erupting into a towering inferno. Flames lick across the water, threatening to engulf the survivors. 2 crewmen are killed instantly. Torpedoman's mate 2nd Class Andrew Jackson Kirksey and motor machinist's mate 2nd Class Harold William Marney. They are never seen again. Other crew members are thrown into the flaming sea, some suffering severe burns. Motor machinist's mate 1st Class Patrick McMahon is particularly badly burned, with injuries covering 70% of his body. The Amagiri continues its course, steaming away at full speed, seemingly unaware of the small vessel it has just obliterated. Its wake ironically helps to extinguish some of the immediate flames. The remaining 11 survivors are left adrift in the darkness, surrounded by burning debris and the chilling realization of their isolation. Kennedy, despite his own injuries, a ruptured spinal disc that will plague him for the rest of his life, begins to call out, searching for his men. McMahon, Harris, Tom, anyone? His voice cuts through the smoke and the lingering sounds of the explosion. He swims tirelessly, moving between the burning wreckage, gathering his scattered crew. He locates McMahon, severely burned and unable to swim, about 100 yards from the wreckage. Kennedy, a strong swimmer from his Harvard days, takes the strap of McMahon's life vest between his teeth and begins to tow him back to the relative safety of the floating bow section of PT-109. Slowly, painstakingly, the 11 survivors regroup. Ensign Leonard Tom, the executive officer, and Ensign George Ross also swim out to retrieve other injured crewmen, including motor machinist's mate 1st Class Gerard Zinzer and motor machinist's mate 2nd Class William Johnston, who are suffering from gasoline fumes. Within 3 hours of the collision, All 11 survivors are accounted for and clinging to the forward section of PT-109, which remains partially afloat due to its watertight compartments. The bow section drifts slowly south. The men huddle together, exhausted, injured, and without food or fresh water. The tropical night offers no comfort. As dawn approaches on August 2, their hopes for immediate rescue fade. They are 40 miles behind enemy lines, surrounded by Japanese-occupied islands. The sun rises, revealing their precarious position. The hull is slowly taking on water and begins to sink around 1 p.m. Kennedy makes a crucial decision. They cannot stay with the sinking wreckage. They must reach land. The closest large island, Kalimbangara, is heavily garrisoned by the Japanese. Instead, Kennedy chooses a tiny, deserted island, a mere 100 yards in diameter, known as Plum Pudding Island, or Kasolo Island. Located about 3.5 miles, 5.6 kilometers, southwest of their drifting position. At approximately 1:30 p.m., the men abandon the remnants of PT-109. They fashion a makeshift raft from 2 large wooden timbers, previously used to secure the 37mm anti-tank gun. The most severely injured, including McMahon, are placed on these timbers, along with their shoes and a lantern. Kennedy once again takes McMahon's life vest strap in his teeth, towing the badly burned man through the water. The swim is grueling, taking 4 hours against strong currents. They finally reach Plum Pudding Island, utterly spent. The island offers no food or fresh water, but it provides cover. The men drag themselves behind the tree line, hiding from potential Japanese barges that patrol the waters. Exhaustion is overwhelming, but Kennedy knows they cannot simply wait. As night falls on August 2, Kennedy, despite his injuries and fatigue, undertakes another perilous swim. He takes the lantern and swims approximately 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, to Ferguson Passage, a gap in the reefs where American PT boats are known to patrol. He clings to a reef, scanning the horizon, hoping to flag down a passing boat with light signals. Hours pass. No friendly vessels appear. Battling strong currents and his own physical pain, he eventually swims back to Plum Pudding Island, his hopes dashed. The next 2 days, August 3 and 4, are a test of endurance. The men on Plum Pudding Island are suffering from thirst, hunger, and exposure. Their skin is burned by the sun, and their wounds fester. Kennedy, refusing to give up, organizes another move. On August 4, he and Ensign Tom lead the crew on a demanding swim, approximately 3.75 miles, 6.04 kilometers, south to Olasana Island. Again, Kennedy tows McMahon. Olasana is a larger island, visible from Plum Pudding, and they hope it will offer more resources. Their hopes are rewarded. They discover ripe coconuts, a vital source of sustenance, though still no fresh water. The following day, August 5, Kennedy's relentless search for help continues. He and Ensign Ross swim for an hour, about 0.5 miles, 0.80 kilometers, further southeast, to Nauru Island. This island is even closer to Ferguson Passage, increasing their chances of spotting a patrol boat. They find a small box of Japanese rice crackers and, crucially, fresh water. They also discover a one-man canoe hidden in the bushes. It is on Nauru Island that they encounter 2 native islanders, Bayuku Gasa and Ironi Kumana, who are scouts for an Australian coastwatcher, Lieutenant Arthur Reginald Evans. Kennedy, desperate to communicate their plight, uses the only tools he has. He carves a message into a green coconut husk. Nauru is. Native knows posit. He can pilot. 11 alive need small boat. He entrusts this coconut, a symbol of their desperate hope, to Gasa and Kumana. The 2 islanders embark on a remarkable journey. They paddle their canoe for 15 hours, covering 38 miles, 61 kilometers, through rough, enemy-patrolled waters to reach a military outpost on Roviana Island. From there, they are sent to the PT base at Rendova, a distance of only 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers, with Gasa still clutching the coconut message. The message reaches Lieutenant Evans, the coastwatcher, who then radios Rendova. The news that survivors of PT-109 are alive, 6 days after the sinking, is met with disbelief at first. Commanders at the base had assumed all hands were lost. There is even initial suspicion that it might be a Japanese trick. But the unique message, and the details provided by the native scouts, confirm its authenticity. Arrangements are immediately made for a rescue mission. Lieutenant J.G. William F. Libino, commanding PT-157, is tasked with the mission, assisted by PT-171. Gasa and Kumana are taken aboard PT-157 to act as guides, navigating through the treacherous reefs and hostile waters. On the night of August 7, Kennedy, back on Nauru Island, spots the approaching PT boats. He lights flares and fires his revolver to signal their position. In his eagerness, he even tries to fire a rifle, but the recoil knocks him out of the canoe and into the water. PT-157 pulls alongside, and Kennedy is brought aboard. Climax 32:00:38:00. The small, dark PT-157 glides silently through the moonless night of August 7, 1943. Tension is palpable on board. Lieutenant Libino, the skipper, keeps a watchful eye on the guides, Bayuku Gasa and Ironi Kumana, who are navigating the treacherous reefs with an uncanny instinct. Every shadow seems to hold a threat, every ripple on the water a potential enemy. After days of uncertainty, of assuming the worst, the possibility of finding survivors, especially the son of a prominent American family, is almost overwhelming. Suddenly, a flicker of light pierces the darkness. It's a series of quick, deliberate flashes. Then, 3 shots from a revolver crack through the night. A collective gasp, then a surge of relief. It is Kennedy. He is alive. The PT-157 cautiously approaches the rendezvous point near Nauru Island. Kennedy, standing in a small canoe, visible only as a silhouette against the faint distant stars, fires a 4th shot, this time from a rifle. The unexpected recoil sends him tumbling into the water with a splash. But his presence is confirmed. Libino maneuvers PT-157 close enough for a line to be thrown. Exhausted, emaciated, and still recovering from his injuries, Kennedy is hauled aboard. He is a shadow of his former self, but his eyes burn with an unyielding determination. He quickly provides details of his remaining crew on Olasana Island. There on Olasana, he rasps, his voice hoarse from days of exposure and shouting. 11 of us. 2 dead. The grim reality of their ordeal settles over the deck. Libino, with Kennedy now on board, carefully navigates towards Olasana. The journey is slow, methodical, every moment stretched taut with the fear of detection. They must avoid Japanese patrols at all costs. The native scouts prove invaluable, guiding the PT boat through the shallow, reef-strewn waters that would be impassable to others. As PT-157 approaches Olasana, the remaining 10 survivors of PT-109, weak but alive, emerge from the cover of the palm trees. Their faces are gaunt, their bodies caked with salt, sunburnt, and covered in insect bites. Patrick McMahon, still suffering from severe burns, is barely able to move. The sight of the American PT boat, a beacon of hope in the endless darkness, brings a wave of profound relief. The transfer is delicate. The injured are carefully helped onto the rescue boat. Each man is accounted for. The reunion is quiet, understated, but deeply emotional. There are handshakes, pats on the back, and quiet words of encouragement. The ordeal, which has stretched for 6 agonizing days and 7 nights, is finally drawing to a close. With all survivors safely aboard, PT-157, accompanied by PT-171, turns for Rindova. The journey back is a mixture of exhaustion and elation. The men are given food and water, their first real sustenance in days. Kennedy, when offered food, famously replies, "No, thanks. I just had a coconut." It is a moment of dark humor, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They travel slowly and quietly, mindful of the enemy, until they are well clear of the danger zone. As dawn breaks on August 8, 1943, PT-157 pulls into the American base at Rendova. The 11 survivors of PT-109 step onto solid ground, alive against all odds. Their story, a testament to courage, leadership, and sheer will, begins to spread. Legacy, 38:00 End. The rescue of the PT-109 crew on August 8, 1943, marks the end of an extraordinary ordeal, but it is just the beginning of a profound legacy. John F. Kennedy's actions during those 6 days in the Blackett Strait cement his reputation as a war hero. He receives the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his extremely heroic conduct, and a Purple Heart for his injuries. He is the only U.S. president to receive such honors. The incident, initially a chaotic military blunder, is transformed into a powerful narrative of leadership and survival. Kennedy's father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., with his keen media savvy, ensures the story is widely distributed, appearing in major newspapers like the New York Times with headlines declaring, "Kennedy's son is hero in Pacific as destroyer splits his point boat." This public recognition becomes a cornerstone of his future political career. But beyond the political narratives, the PT-109 incident profoundly shapes John F. Kennedy himself. He carries the physical scars of his ruptured spinal disc for the rest of his life, requiring months of hospitalization and constant medical attention. More significantly, he carries the emotional weight of losing 2 of his men. He feels immense guilt over the deaths of Andrew Kirksey and Harold Marney, believing the rescue story is not one of success, because 2 lives were lost. This profound empathy for lost lives, forged in the crucible of the Pacific, influences his decision-making in later years. The experience teaches Kennedy invaluable lessons in leadership under extreme pressure. He learns to make quick, life-or-death decisions, to inspire hope in the face of despair, and to prioritize the welfare of his men above his own. His willingness to tow an injured crewman for miles, to swim repeatedly into dangerous waters for help, and his ingenuity in carving a distress message into a coconut all demonstrate a resourcefulness and resilience that will define his public service. Years later, as President of the United States, facing the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy draws directly on these wartime experiences. His calm under pressure, his ability to assess risks, and his deep aversion to unnecessary loss of life, are all echoes of those harrowing days in the Blackett Strait. He seeks counsel, listening to his advisors, much as he sought collective decision-making with his crew on the tiny Pacific islands. The coconut husk, with its carved message, becomes a cherished memento, displayed prominently in the Oval Office, a tangible link to a moment of desperate survival and triumphant leadership. The story of PT-109 is not merely a tale of wartime heroism. It is a foundational chapter in the life of a future president, a testament to the enduring power of courage, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of leadership under fire. It is a story that reminds us that true leadership is forged not in comfort but in crisis. CTA, if this story moved you, subscribe. New forgotten stories every week. Which moment surprised you most? Comment below.